Storm Chandra is on the way. We named it here at the Met Office this morning on Monday, the 26th of January. Initially bringing heavy rain through the night, but then the winds will also start to strengthen, particularly in western areas. And we have warnings in force through the early hours and for much of Tuesday. Amber warnings are in place for wind and rain, and there are a fair few yellow warnings in place, including some for hill snow. We'll go through the details of those warnings in this broadcast, but first of all, let's see where Storm Chandra is coming from. Not really fully developed. This is the satellite sequence over the last few days. You can see we've had a swirl of cloud down close to the southwest, brought stormy conditions here through the weekend. That has since fizzled out, and now it looks like, in the satellite image, the dominant weather feature, this big swirl way out in the Atlantic. What's actually happening, though, closer to us, down to the southwest, is another feature is intensifying. It's not really formed yet, this storm, but it will do as we go through the next 24 hours. And this little breeding ground down here, what am I talking about? Well, here we've got the jet stream, and that is what is spinning up this storm. Doesn't look much at the moment, and that's because it isn't. It's really intensifying during Monday, through Monday afternoon, dropping a lot in terms of its internal pressure, developing into a quite intense area of low pressure as we run through the course of this afternoon into this evening. In relation to the jet stream, it's in this what we call a left exit area, and the isobars just pop out of it as we go through this evening as it approaches the Republic of Ireland. Let's just pause it there, because that's when we've got some of the strongest winds around this system. That little squeeze of the isobars there coming up from the southwest. They're the winds at high level, the jet stream, but the winds at lower levels really picking up across these western parts of the UK in particular, and quite an unusual wind direction. But the first thing we're concerned about is the rainfall. So let's look at what's going on with the rain over the course of tonight and into tomorrow. Initially, we've got a band of rain from the first weather system coming in that actually is providing quite a wet afternoon across Northern Ireland. Yellow warning in place for that. So as you come back to this afternoon, the rain setting in for Wales and southwest England. Now, it's been very wet here, again, as we will see shortly. So extra rain likely to cause problems. A lot of spray, a lot of surface water on the roads. But it's really, as we go through the night, just watch as this rain continues to pulse up in this area across southwest England, parts of Wales, Northern Ireland. Those brighter colours as we go through the night. Heavy rain for Northern Ireland, Wales and southwest England, especially. That rain continuing to pulse in, and that's the swirl. That is Storm Chandra. That's as the winds start to increase as well. With those stronger winds, the hills will bear the brunt of this heavy rainfall, but it's all going to come down the hills eventually, likely to cause some flooding in these western areas. But the main focus for the rainfall is in the far southwest of England. Let's take a look at how much rain we're likely to see. If we put on the totals for, say, 12 hours and run to tomorrow morning. So this is the 12-hour rainfall totals until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. So from 6 o'clock this evening until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And you can see those yellows in there quite widely for the east of Northern Ireland, South Wales, and particularly southern England, between 25 and 50 millimetres of rain. But if we zoom in, you can see some pockets of orange there, particularly over the hills in southwest England, which means between 50 and 75 millimetres of rain. And over the hills, we could easily see 80 millimetres of rain in Dartmoor. So we're particularly concerned about this area. And the reason, one of the reasons for that is how much rain we've seen in this part of the world. And to show you that, let's take a look at the rainfall that's accumulated so far this winter. So this map is showing the rainfall we've seen so far through the winter. If you take the winter as being the calendar months of December, January and February, those 3 full months. Now, of course, we've still got 5 weeks of winter left to go. And this is comparing the total rainfall for winter to the total average. And you can see that some places down to the southwest, kind of matching up with that rainfall area, are in the blue zone here, which means we've seen over the winter average already, even though there's 5 months to go. And some pockets in this 130 to 150%, particularly through parts of Dorset. So we've already seen winter's rainfall in this area. Same goes for pockets to the east of Northern Ireland and eastern Scotland. So we've already seen more than winter's rainfall with still 5 weeks to go. And that doesn't even include the rainfall we saw yesterday. It's only up to the 25th. So with more heavy rain coming tonight the southwest, in particular parts of South Wales, the ground is saturated, so extra rainfall is likely to cause some flooding. So we're concerned about the rainfall. That's why we've got the warnings in place. If we take a look at those warnings, take the rainfall off and go through to this evening, you can see that's where we've got the amber warning. So we've got the rainfall amber warning from this evening, Monday evening, into Tuesday morning, likely to cause a lot of spray surface water on the main routes, particularly for tomorrow morning's commute. Roads like the A303, parts of the M5 likely to be really badly hit, the A30 also. We are likely to see flooding in this zone with 30 to 50 millimetres of rain quite widely, as I mentioned, maybe as much as 80 millimetres over the hills. We also have other yellow warnings covering the whole of the south of England and South Wales, likely to cause some issues. So that's the rainfall. Let's deal with the winds now, because they'll be picking up through the night and during the course of Tuesday. The winds really increasing through the, which one do we need? That one we need on. So if we go through the rest of today and into tonight, then just let it play through. You can see the winds picking up around these western coasts as we go through the early hours. Pause it there, 6 o'clock in the morning. Look at those winds coming in. There's the circulation. That's the storm system. Strong winds on its southern flank, but also notice picking up through the Irish Sea. Zoom in a little bit on that, because notice some pockets actually of gusty winds over the northwest of England. With this wind direction coming in from the east or the southeast, going to get those winds bouncing over the hill. So that could cause some problems on some of the routes through here. But the strongest winds really on this east coast of Northern Ireland. Large waves and those gusty winds picking up. We could easily see between 60 and 70 mile an hour. There is the chance on coast of 75 miles an hour. An unusual wind direction. Obviously, it's been very wet here too, so those winds may well cause some trees to come down, potentially even some structural damage also. So these are the strong winds picking up through the night. We've got an amber warning for the winds across the east of Northern Ireland, running for much of Tuesday. Then we kind of have a secondary pulse. So really strong winds in the morning across the east of Northern Ireland. But if we just play through, notice here, that's the storm system getting into the south of the Republic of Ireland, but those winds also really increasing close to Cornwall and Pembrokeshire. Now, we've got a yellow warning here because we're not quite certain, because this storm hasn't developed, it wouldn't take much for it to be a little bit further east or west. So there's a bit more uncertainty about the strength of the wind in this part of the world. And that's a part of the world that was really badly hit, of course, by Storm Goretti a couple of weeks ago. So we're concerned about this. Yellow warning at the moment because we don't quite have that certainty, but that's something we need to watch because these strong gusts could easily affect parts of Wales, Isles of Scilly, and the far west of Cornwall for a time during tomorrow. And then as the storm itself heads across the Republic of Ireland, the winds almost pick up again across the east coast of Northern Ireland. So you kind of get two pulses. It's going to be a very windy day in here. Not just the east of Northern Ireland, parts of southwest Scotland, and as I mentioned, those gusts across northwest England too. So it's really the winds on Tuesday, picking up through the early hours and lasting for much of the day, the east of Northern Ireland, and that risk also for parts of Wales and southwest England. We also have warnings in place for the rain elsewhere across England and Wales and Scotland. Let's put those on. In fact, if I do it like that and like that, take that off. You can see that rain band coming in, playing it through, turning increasingly to snow. As it moves through, take the warnings off for a second actually, just play that through, because here over northern England, Scotland, those rain bands whooshing northwards. It is going to be mostly over the hills, above about 400 metres, above about 500 metres, we could see 10 to 20 centimetres. Above 400 metres, we're looking at 5 to 10 centimetres of snow, likely to cause some disruption on some of the higher routes, and of course heavy rain. Again, much of the ground is saturated, likely to cause some problems. So we do have many warnings in place. Take the rainfall off. These warnings here, these yellow warnings, are for rain and snow combined. So we are looking at heavy rain, strong winds, and some hill snow with this storm system coming in. Please check the warnings for yourself and keep up to date with the forecast as Storm Chandra moves through.